Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. Today we're going to be discussing a disenchanting shuffle which you can do currently in Shadowlands in 9.1, and exactly how you can go about it and to calculate how much profit you can make. Now, the only requirements of this video is that you need a toon with jewelry crafting as well as enchanting. So as long as you have those two professions, then you are good to go with this shuffle. But we are going to start by first just talking about what exactly this shuffle is, and then we're going to go into how to calculate how much profit you can make. But I hope you guys enjoy, and thank you so much for watching. Alright, so what this shuffle contains is that you will need jewelry crafting because you will be using the three basic gems, which is Umbral, we have Anger's Eye, as well as Orblace, and you will be turning these into one of the four clusters. We have the Deadly, the Masterful, the Quick, as well as the Versatile clusters, and then we will be crafting these into rings, which then you can send over to your disenchanter, and then you just disenchant them for sacred shards as well as soul dust. So this is about a 3-step method, which means you will be turning in the basic gems into clusters, which are right here. Then you will be turning those clusters into rings, so that is part 2. And then lastly, that third part will be actually disenchanting those rings. So the reason why this disenchanting shuffle is so good is that you are able to, firstly, if you do enchanting a ton, you can get cheaper materials this way. Also, as long as you just have enchanting, you can sell these materials right back onto the auction house to make pure profit as well. So this is perfect for anybody who has a little bit of free time, who wants to use their gems in a better way, because gems are kind of scary to post on the auction house. The reason why I say they're a little bit scary to post is, for example, to post these 390 gems, it's going to only make me about 1,000 gold. However, the deposit price for 12 hours is 146 gold. So because it is a Shadowlands material, you probably will have to undercut this, and every time you undercut and cancel this item, you are losing 146 gold. So by the time, you undercut it 3 or 4 times, you're basically just not making gold at all. And so you want to find another use for these gems instead of just putting them on the auction house. So that is kind of the basis of this shuffle, and now we're going to go straight into how to calculate it. Alright, so we will be using my spreadsheet in order to calculate the shuffle. Now this is a part of just my overall Shadowlands WoW spreadsheet. You can find this in the description below, but there's also a good chance that you might already have this spreadsheet. If you do, you're just going to want to download the latest copy in order to make sure you have the new ring shuffle menu. But the first thing that you are going to want to do is go under material sheet, which is right here, and then you will want to update your ore price. So there are only 4 ores that you have to deal with, but you will want to update your silver, your phaedrum, your oxen, as well as your solium in order to just make sure you have the right prices. I have already done this before the video. Currently my silver goes for about 9.3, my phaedrum is at about 20, my oxen's about 16, and then my solium is at about 10 gold. But after you do that, then you can make your way to the Jewelcraft Shuffle page, which is the 6th page down below. Once you are here, you will probably see something that looks like this, just a bunch of emptiness and zeros. If you do see numbers, then you can make it look like this. It's really up to you, but there are 3 areas which you can input data, and we will talk about that first. So there are 3 areas which you can input, which is first the amount as well as the cost of your gems, which is just right here. So depending on how much Anger's Eye, Orblace, and Umbral, you can just put it into that column right here. And let's say you do want to purchase the gems off the auction house, or you purchase them from a friend, or anything like that, you can also input that cost right there. Lastly, you can use this area right here, which we'll be going into a little bit later. But there are 2 scenarios for this spreadsheet. So first, we're going to be going over one scenario, and then we'll be going over the actual purchasing gem scenario. But for this first scenario, we are going to be acting like you have already prospected a lot of ore, whether that is to gain essence for legendaries or to just sell the essence. But now you're left over with a ton of different ore, and we're going to go through exactly what you can do with these gems to make some extra profit. So as you can see in my inventory right now, I have quite a lot of gems. If I hover over my umbral, as you can see, I have about 5,353 on top of all of these clusters, which I have already pre-crafted. And then we also have a good amount of Anger's Eye, as well as a good amount of Ore Blaze. So what we are going to do is I'm just going to calculate how much Ore Blaze I have, and then we are going to input it into the spreadsheet. So in total, we have about 1,115 Anger's Eye. We have about 5,800 Ore Blaze, and then we have about a little over 7,200 Umbral. And as you can see, once we input that amount that we have, it will calculate automatically a profit of what we will be seeing depending on what ring you will craft. So if you guys are unaware, if we want to go back into the game, there are currently 4 of the blue rings that we will be looking at. We have the Deadly, the Masterful, the Quick, as well as the Versatile. And each of these correspond to a different cluster as well as a different ore type. So, I mean, it's right in the name, so the Deadly Silver Ring will take account of 2 silver as well as 2 deadly jewel clusters. So using these 4 different options, we can figure out which type of scenario will actually create us the most gold. So for example, if we want to look at these clusters which we'll be crafting, there are a few which uses a combination of Anger's Eyes and Ore Blaze, as well as there are a few, for example, the Quick one, which just uses Ore Blaze. So there's kind of a mixture of 2, as well as a solo 2 rings which only use one type of each gem. So what the spreadsheet does is automatically compare the 4 different types of rings and gives you a profit up front of what would be the best to do. So just looking, the Quick ring will give us about 20,000 gold, the Deadly ring will give us about 11,000, the Masterful will give us about 5,000, and then the Versatile will give us about 35,000. So just right off the bat, if we want to look at this profit, it is very, very clear that the Versatile rings will bring us in the most profit. Now what this does is it calculates the amount of which you are crafting, as well as the additional materials that you need in order to craft those rings. So for example, for that Versatile ring, we are going to be crafting 910 of them, and we need the additional materials of about 1,800 of the ore. We need about 900 of the wires, which you have to buy the malleable wires, and then you have to buy about 1,800 of the Leystrite settings. So that is just the list of the additional materials that you need, which is all listed for all of these. Then of course, we also have the enchanted mats that you're going to get out of it. So after disenchanting those 910 rings, you will see about 1,300 or a little over 1,300 sacred shards, as well as about 1,300 soul dust as well. So that is kind of the breakdown of what this spreadsheet works. But you notice that you will also have leftover gems, which is why we have this little step calculator over here. So as you can see, right now, just looking at the list, the best thing to do in terms of profit is going to be getting those versatile rings. So if we choose to craft the versatile rings first, then under step 1, we can just type in that profit. So for example, it's going to be that 34,685 number. So we have that typed in, and then just for our own sake, we are going to be creating the versatile ring. After that, as you can see, it's going to tell us that we still have Anger's Eye as well as the ore base left over, because this only uses Umbral. So we can take that and just update this over here. Then it will recalculate exactly what we can craft. So in this example, as you can see, we do not have any more Umbral, so Versatile as well as the Masterful is out of the picture, but now we have Quick as well as Deadly. If we just look straight at the profits, as you can see, the Quick will give us more profit. It's going to give us about 19,000, while the Deadly ring only gives us about 11,000. However, there is a very, very big difference in the amount of rings that you can craft. The reason for this is because the Deadly uses the Anger's Eye as well as the Ore Blaze, while the Quick only uses the Ore Blaze. And in terms of profit per ring, we're going to be crafting about 700 rings for about 20k profit, but with the Deadly rings, we can cut that amount almost in thirds, or even more in third, and we're going to still be making 11,000. So, we're only going to be crafting about 300 rings, and we're going to be making 11,000, which is a whole lot less time when you're crafting 700 rings for only 20,000. So in this scenario, we're going to go with the Deadly rings. So right here, we can type in that 10,000 number, and then we can also just say that we're going to be crafting the Deadly. And since this uses a combination of Anger's Eyes and Ore Blaze, we still have a little bit left over, which we can just fix up here. With that final calculation, as you can see, we will still be able to make plenty of quick rings, and we're still going to be making about a 15.5k profit off of this. So we can finally add that to our total down here. So after those 3 different crafting processes, we're going to be crafting the Versatile, the Deadly, and the Quick. As you can see, we're going to be making a total of a 61,000 gold profit. Now this is simply from just using the gems that I've gathered over time through just prospecting for my jewelry crafting legendaries. So instead of just, stockpiling these gems, using them for the basic rings, or just vendoring them, we can finally use them into a little bit of shuffle and either get some materials for my enchants, or I can just strictly sell them on the auction house. But either way, gaining a nice 61,000 gold profit will be very, very nice. Now, of course, there are so many different combinations that you can do. We could have chosen to do the Masterful rings instead of the Versatile, or kind of a mix of both, and then possibly we could have seen more profit. But this just allows you to kind of plan ahead with what you want to do in order to find that most profit. But this is kind of the first step of this. If we want to go back to our original numbers, so that original 1100 number, that original 5800 number, and the 7200 umbral, as you can see, it calculates the vendor price for you. So if we wanted to do all of the disenchanting, we're going to make about 61,000 gold profit. However, what we can do is we can just vendor them, and you're going to get about 3,000 for Anger's Eye, about 15,000 for Ore Blaze, and about 18,000 for umbral. So that's going to make you about 30k, a little over like 32k profit if you just want to strictly vendor them. So this can also tell you, would you rather spend the extra time to kind of double that profit to about 61,000, or would you just like to vendor it, get it over with, and then you can make a solid 30k? That's really just up to your personal preference. If you have the time to do it, go ahead, double your money, but if you don't, that's perfectly fine as well. So this is just kind of scenario 1 of what you can do with that extra gem if you have left over. Now, of course, we do have that cost column, which this can be for scenario 2, which is if you want to actually buy gems off the auction house to see if you can make profit as well. So what we can do is we can go over to the auction house and we can type in umbral. Currently, umbral is about, we'll just go with here. This is an average of about 2.9, and we could buy about 653. So we're going to buy 653 umbral for about 2.9 gold. If we want to move on to Anger's Eye, we can buy about 960 of it for 3.8 gold. And lastly, for Ore Blaze. Ore Blaze is actually very, very expensive, but we can buy 586 of it for about 9 gold as well. Now, as you can see, because of that Ore Blaze is so high, it actually kind of just wrecks our profit in general. The reason for this is because our shards are just not very high. Currently, if we want to go back to our materials, our sacred shards are going for about 30 gold, and then our soul dust is going for about 16 gold. Of course, you will adjust this depending on your server prices, but using that right now, it is just not profitable in order to make gold. So, of course, depending on what your gem prices are, you can figure out if it is good for you to kind of do this flip, or is it going to be bad for you. But in terms of my current server, it is actually going to be pretty bad. The reason for this is just Umbral is probably the best flip that you can do. However, it's just very expensive with combination of how much we're going to be getting out of the enchant materials and also what we are going to be paying for the ore as well as the gems themselves. So depending on your server, let's say we can buy them for about 2.6 gold. Combination of, 2.6, 2.8, whatever it is, as you can see, we can actually start seeing some profit. There's also not a ton on my server, so we're only crafting about 100 rings or so, but depending on kind of that low cost of what you can pick up on your server, or if you have a friend or a guildmate who wants to get rid of their gems, then you can pick that up and also do a little bit of this. So right now, we have a less of each 1,000 gem, so we're only going to be making about 2 or 1,000 profit, depending on what we are trying to craft. So this method is definitely good for the people who are prospecting. If you guys haven't looked into prospecting, I have a sheet right here, which you can utilize if you want to watch the previous video, the one that released literally right before this one. It goes through how you can make some gold with prospecting, and then all of those gems that you get from doing that essence prospecting, you can put this into the spreadsheet for scenario 1. In general, scenario 1 is going to be the best, but of course, it just depends on how much time you have and how much time you can allocate to shuffling and anything like that. But yeah, guys, that is basically it for this video. What you are going to do once again is that you are going to go into Jewelcrafting and you are going to be creating these clusters, which as you can see will just count as a little bit of gems and the settings. And then once you have a bit of these, you will be turning them into the respected rings. So right here, as you can see, I'm going to be crafting up about 172 rings, and I can just sit here and wait. After, I will send these all over to my enchanter, and then that character will proceed to disenchant them, and then of course I can either just straight sell the materials on the auction house, or I can utilize them for any of the crafting enchants that I want to do. But guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, be sure to join the Discord down below. We are an amazing community, and I hope I could see everybody there. That is where I can answer all the questions that you might have, and you can find support with not only me, but everybody else there. We're a little over 1,400 members, which is incredible. It is so insane. So thank you guys so much. Also, if you haven't already, follow me on Twitch. I live stream 4 nights a week, and it's just a very, very great time to kind of see live gold making that I do. But thank you so much, and of course, have a good day.